Hello, everyone. This is Kyla from Hidden Gems Literary Emporium here in New Brunswick, New Jersey. Today, we have author Jeffrey Bardeau from all the way from Canada.
Port Perry, Ontario.
All right, now. Thank you for your time today.
You're welcome.
Okay. And as you can just see by what he's wearing and the art behind him, he's a very creative and just colorful person. Would you say so?
I would say so.
Okay. Every time we chat, you put imagine to dream.
Right.
Where'd you come up with that?
It just came to me.
Oh.
It just I get thinking, if you can dream, is basically if you dream, what can you imagine? You can dream.
Mm-hmm.
Really? It's kind of like that. And if you look at, it's almost like my logo thing. And if you look at the way I write it, I have I am in capital letters. I'm basically saying I am imagining the dream.
Right.
You know, so go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I like that you write it that way because it's kind of like a statement or a proclamation. I am imagined to dream. I will imagine to dream. Right. I can imagine to dream. You know?
And as a famous person once said, I have a dream.
True. And dreams are so important. And that imagination dreaming is a big premise of this book, Dream Quest to Lucidobe, which is on display here at Hidden Gems Literary Emporium.
And I have it on display at my place.
All right, now, always on display. First thing, how did you come up with the title of this book?
Well, I had a number of other thoughts, like calling it just a dream quest. I was going to call it a dream quest to Akadana, I think it's called. It's Canada spelled backwards, but I'd seen that had been used somewhere else. So I was thinking, and then I got thinking about dreaming, which is this book deals with to a point, a lot, dream. So, and I'm a strong believer in astral projection and all that, and lucid thoughts. And then I said to myself, this kind of reminds me, what if we could do this dream and we could basically wake up during this dream to go on an adventure? And that's kind of where I had the idea for Lucidobe. It's all based upon the fact, and I'll tell everybody about this because this is very cool. I already said this to you. Lucidobe is made up of a few things. First of all, the word lucid, as we know what it is, and the OBE stands for out of body experience. So the whole thing, you have to realize that, as I would say to everybody in the audience, how many of you folks out there, when you dream, do you think that it's real? That's the first question I ask. And you'll get a certain percentage that says, oh yeah, so therefore it becomes real. And this whole book deals with that premise of taking a dream and making it real. Even though I won't go into details about the book, but even though it kind of seems to send you down another path about the whole thing, but it's all about what we can dream and how we can be part of it. And go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
And so, yeah, and you wake up those mornings or whatever, and you say, man, I had a really crazy dream last night. And why was I dreaming about that? And it seems so real. And sometimes it almost feels, after you've had one of those kind of dreams, that weighs kind of heavy on you. Because I wake up sometimes and I feel uncomfortable because it feels like I've really been somewhere.
You have a good audiobook voice.
Yes, I've thought I would like to do that. Yes.
With this book, right?
I would, yeah. And you know what I would do if I had this as an audiobook? Wow. Pretty much every character's in that book, I would do a different voice for every character.
You could do that?
Yep, I can do quite a few voices.
Wow.
And accents. One of my favorite accents is to talk like this.
Wow.
but I can do the many things like that. I've been on stage.
Really?
Yeah, I've been in a few plays. I've been an extra.
Really?
Yeah, I've been an extra in a few movies.
Wow. Let me ask you a question about the plays.
Yeah.
What do you think? What was your favorite role to play on stage?
Oh, it was called the play was called Second Time Around, and it was about an elderly couple, like grandfather type people, that were planning to get married, but they told their kids they were going to live together in sin. So I played the son of the woman, and of course there was the thing between me and the daughter, and of course it was really a fun time, and it was a comedy, and it was great,
Oh,
and I also love doing improv.
oh, I'm not surprised by that, actually. Okay, I want to ask you about the main character. Well, actually, you surprised me when I was reading this book because I thought Billy.
Yeah.
I thought Billy was the main character, and I
No.
guess maybe he's not, right?
Well, he kind of becomes, yes, he's the main character, because even though he goes to his grandfather a lot, the whole story starts with Billy and ends with Billy. So yeah, he is the main character.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah. And but I was surprised because, and I'm not going to talk about the ending because that was a complete shocker. I was not expecting that at all. And then, but what I will say about the ending, which is I'm not going to say a spoiler, but when I read the ending, I kind of said, okay, so he has to make another book because this is just, it's kind of like a cliffhanger. I mean, it is a cliffhanger.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about Billy, because Billy is like many other youth today growing up, especially now. He is a little misunderstood by his parents. He went through something tragic that was leading him on a path that was not favorable to his life. And then his mother introduces him to his grandfather, who opens up this completely new world, and pretty much changes his life. And then he kind of goes away a little bit and comes back at the end. But then the way he comes back at the end is like, now you want to know more about Billy and what's going to happen next.
Billy is, I think, as in my thoughts, Billy is a character that will find out, I think, in the course of things, more things about himself. And I think it'll be a lot, and he'll find out how much in common he really has with his grandfather, with that kind of thing. So it's still a thing about discovery of oneself. And the second book, it's going to be about the Dream Lord. What happens in the second book is the Dream Lord is being kept in a state of animation, that he's trapped inside of this big crystal. Now, what happens by the upheaval in the first book, it ripples through this world, all the worlds, and all these worlds that are there were, especially Lucidobe is one world. Then you have all these other island worlds that are there too. There's maybe another 6 or 7. I can't remember how many there would be. So he's kept isolated very, very far away. But what happens, the rippling effect of what happens on Lucidobe reaches out to him, and it starts to release the Dream Lord. So he'll come back and try to take Lucidobe over again. When the people of Lucidobe, say about 6,000 dream sleeps ago, they rose up against him and did this to him to keep him away, because he was doing terrible and horrible things to Lucidobe, to the people. And they finally got enough courage to face him. And now the kids have to help them keep him there so he doesn't try to come back.
Hmm.
So, and then the third book, I'm getting a little ahead of the case, but this is cool. This is cool, giving
Yeah.
insight. The third
Yeah,
book
yeah.
is at the end of the second book, they're still going to be in Lucidobe.
Yes.
The third book. So this hole in this room in the ceiling is the way to the dream threshold.
Hmm.
Now, what happens is when they have to go to the dream threshold, because the dream threshold is where every creature, every animal, every being, human and otherwise, on all levels of existence. Now we're talking levels of existence, meaning there's different universes on 3 or 4 different levels. We're not the only one out there. We are part and parcel of a bigger scheme. But what they have to do is they have to go to the dream threshold and try to save it, because the dream lords escapades with these people, the dream threshold starts to come apart. And if that happens and it's no longer in existence, everybody on every level of existence will stop dreaming, and then they'll have nightmares.
Wow.
Now, the characters, I won't get into this, but the characters that are taking care of the dream threshold are, in my artistic license, are what the indigenous people here have an image of what the dream catcher people look like. They're the ones that control the threshold and try to keep it. Every time you want to dream, you kind of go there. It's like going to the grocery store. You go there, you drift around in your state of subconscious, and you're looking for what your dream could be. And these entities will help you find what you think you need, and then you take it back with you, and then you have your major dream. So it's like I say, it's more powerful. The whole dreaming thing, lucid, astral projection, everything that we think we can do outside of our physical body, there's much more to it than what we expect. And that's why the third book, of course, they have to go back and, like I said, save the dream threshold, and then they actually meet the interesting people that are there taking care of the dream threshold, and find out something about them, which is kind of cool. And how the indigenous people have, through the past, have dealt with these people and have used part of their being to help them in everyday life.
Wow. The way that you wrote these books, is it in a way where you need to read them in order, or can you skip around and still get the drift?
I mean, all honestly, you should really, it's like anything. It's like the Lord of the Rings,
Right.
or Harry Potter, you might be, because they seem to be individual books about everything. But mine is like it's kind of one story.
Right.
Okay, because the second and third book definitely will run concurrent. There will be a bit of a stop, but it'll continue on. And yeah. So
I want to ask you a question. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. No, you go ahead. I'll let you.
You sure?
You're sure.
Okay. I want to ask you a question about dreams. Have you, as a child, throughout your life, have you always had very vivid dreams?
Oh yeah.
Really?
I remember one I woke up screaming from.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, I still have a lot of vivid dreams.
Do you ever have dreams that you wake up, you know how you have a dream and you can recall certain things, but you can't really remember? Does that ever happen to you?
Yeah, where you think you can remember, but you're only getting little snippets of it, and you're trying to remember what you've actually dreamed about, and you just can't get a grip on the whole concept of the dream, because part of you, I think, is trying to come sort of overtake that whole thing to fulfill its own needs and desires, rather than allowing you to dream.
When you were growing up,
yeah,
were dreams a topic and a theme in your household, or was it something that you just came to, I guess, love on your own?
I was basically one onto my own. I never got into discussing much with anybody because I always felt like a square peg in a round hole all my life when I was a kid.
Mm.
You know, like you just felt like you fit in, but you didn't fit in. So a lot of things I had to create for myself, like, and you know, so I've always felt that I've always felt like I'm an old soul, and just a bunch of other things. I believe in a past life. If anybody knows Canada and find the Mackenzie River that goes into the Mackenzie Delta, into the Arctic Ocean, that's where I think I lived and died as an Indigenous person.
Why that place?
I don't know. I don't know. That's what draws me to it.
Wow. That's interesting. Have you lived in Canada your entire life?
Yep.
Wow, born and raised.
I'm a Canadian, eh?
Do people really say "a" all the time?
Some people say "a," yeah.
Oh,
we all do, eh? Hey, Carol.
That's funny.
Yeah, it is.
We're
the first ones. We're the first ones a lot of times to make fun of ourselves, you know. So that's cool.
That's cool.
Yeah.
You Canadians seem very laid back and lighthearted.
Oh yeah, sometimes we're so laid back we can't get out of the chair.
That's funny. I want to flip open to a page, but I just thought of another question.
Okay.
Can we please talk about Don's friends?
Don's friends?
Don is the grandfather, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and he has a friend named Bobby.
As a boy, right? Okay. Yep. Yep.
And then there's a dog named Madison that is actually a spirit, right?
Yes, it's a sand dog. It was created from the sands of time of the sand seer for the kids to help them along their journey. There's a point in the book where something happens, and the dog, who's called Madison, the sand dog, she learns everything about every form of Indigenous mythological creature from Bobbi. So that comes in handy in the book for the kids to hear about. Now, what I do in the book with each indigenous mythological creature, I say what it is, and then I give an actual, I put down exactly what it represents, the title, so that they can understand what it's about. Part of it, the whole thing of this writing this book, is trying to get our culture to kind of meld with the Indigenous culture, so we can be more informed about what's going on that side in comparison to our side.
I appreciated the fact that you explained the creatures when they came into the story, because when you introduce them, you have a feeling, well, me reading it as an adult, you have a feeling that this character might actually be a real character in certain cultures and things like that. But then you go into explaining it, and I'm like, oh, great, here's the answer right here. Right. And that's great for children too, to just have that information right there when they're reading. Yeah. And so, okay, then there is, what's his name? The guy, he gets taken for a little bit, but he comes back.
Nodda.
Okay. How'd you come up with his name?
Well, as we know, when you're tired, you want to nod. So I just figured, it'd be kind of cool. He doesn't want to sleep though, but his name is Nodda, which means, you know, it just kind of seemed to flow. And he's a really good dreamer. He can dream you food. He can dream you almost anything. And he's the one that helps take them on the journey to stop the evil minder. Right.
And I'm not going to talk about the evil minder too much, because that surprised me also. Okay.
Because I find him scary. I don't really like talking about him.
Okay. And then, but I was surprised when we finally met him in the book. I was surprised. Right. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay.
And then there's I don't know if it was a map.
Yep.
If that was his regular form, a map, right?
Yeah. His name is Tinn.
Tinn, yes.
Tinn. And he's a map that will turn into a door.
Yes.
And then you go through the door and you go through this, like you're flying through space and time and all kinds of neat stuff's happening. And then at the end, he opens up his door. He lets about where they're going. Because there's a point in the book where you're running into this great big massive wall of fog. And if you go in there and you're not prepared, you'll get lost. So Tinn is there to help them get through the wall of fog and then drop them off where they need to go on the next leg of their journey towards the castle of the evil minder.
Right. Which is this on the front?
Yes. Well, yes.
Okay. One of my favorite scenes in the book is kind of in the beginning. Right. So Don and Bobbi are going to her grandfather's house.
Right.
And they're going through this forest.
Right.
And then things are changing.
Right.
And I don't want to say too much, but things are changing in a weird kind of way. And the way that they meet the grandfather is very mystical in a way. Right. How do you come up with these cool scenes with different mystical things that just happen?
Well, I think what part of it is when I'm writing about something, I write along, then all of a sudden another thing comes into my head. And some of them, I don't understand where they come from, but it seems to be where I'm supposed to go with it. Like there's one particular chapter I wrote about. Well, there's a couple, 3 or 4 chapters. There's 5 chapters I actually put in there for specific reasons. And each one of those chapters, I had to mull over what was each chapter going to be about. The one that I kind of like, which took me the longest, is a place where they go and the 5 senses are like a waterfall in the middle of this room, right? One's for your eyes, your ears, all the 5, and on each one of the waterfall type things is one of the ear, the eyes, and I believe the nose and whatever else. And they have to go there. And I think it's Don, he gets sucked into, well, I won't get into that, but there's something happens there. So every one of these 5 chapters that I put in there about these things are all about meeting some other kind of strange and unusual characters. And there's even, so it's, there's some pretty interesting things that happen. Like Tinn is one of my favorite characters.
Really?
The map door. I like him.
Why is he your favorite character?
Well, I don't know. I just like the fact that he's got all these neat capabilities. Like he's a map. You want to look at the map to see where you're going, and then so he helps you by taking you there. So he's a great aid for them to get to where they're going and that kind of stuff. And he scurries around like he's kind of like a little kid. He wants to be part of everything that's going on. So he's excited, and he's also got a sense of urgency when the urgency time comes to get them out of whatever place they're in to take them to the next level.
Right. Yeah, that's true. Who is my favorite character? I mean, now that you say that, I want to say Tinn because he does have pretty cool capabilities. But Madison was also quite cool. She just always comes in at the right time. Yeah. There's a scene where, and I'm not going to get into it, but there's a scene where someone is being taken by the vines. There's just all these other scenes where Madison saves the day.
Yep.
So I really like Madison.
Because the coolest part about Madison is because of all her information she has in her mind now about all the different Aboriginal or Indigenous mythological creatures. When something happens, she's able to draw upon herself to figure out which one she should release from her body. What happens is really cool. She's there, and all of a sudden an orb of light will come out from one of the folds of her body into the air and will materialize into this really cool character, or I should say mythological indigenous creature that helps the kids overcome the trauma that they're facing at that particular moment. That's cool.
No, it was really cool to read, and to, as you're reading, you kind of visualize it in your mind. And we were talking about how you should turn this into a movie.
Yep, I want to.
Good, you should.
Well, the possibility is there. I would have to get the right kind of person who believes in it. I had a friend years ago who did believe in it, and he had his own production company, and he got me involved with a big production company in Toronto, and I can't remember what the name is at this point. I went to them, I explained it all to them, and they were going to turn it into a TV series. But time went by, as all things, and they decided to go a different direction, which is kind of sad. But it just, in me, it said, okay, if I can talk to these three guys and get them interested and want to do it, then there's got to be something to it. You know, so that's why I've been striving along all this time to get to this point.
That's right. And if anybody who's watching this video is interested in turning this into a movie, they should email you at
a dream quest to Lucidobe at gmail.com.
Okay. Okay, I want to flip open to a page of this book.
Okay.
And just read a paragraph, maybe just the first one that catches my eye. Oh, this is so funny. I flipped open to the first page of chapter 14.
Oh.
And we were just talking about this kind of. So it says, I'm on page 63. Once through the door, we began to fall very slowly at first. Every movement and sound seemed to drift away and then back. Then it started to speed up faster and faster. Our bodies seemed to be able to stretch. We were falling sideways down an ever-changing body of light. Once all of us appeared through Tinn's door, he folded back to map size. We were all a little shaken and dazed. Our thoughts were trying to adjust, leaving us to wonder what lay before us. At least at this point, we were all safe. The wall of fog was still here and still as thick as before. Stay away from the fog. The wording was still fresh in our heads.
Yeah. Was that wall of fog I was telling you about?
Yes.
And if you go in there and you do get out, you won't have the foggiest idea where you've been.
Right. And isn't that scary?
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to thank you for your time today.
Okay. Well, thank you for having me come on your show. We'll say it's your show. Yeah.
It is a show, yes. And you and your wife were so pleasant. And I encourage everyone to come by Hidden Gems Literary Emporium and get your copy of A Dream Quest to Lucidobe. You can also give us a call at 609-361-4331. We would be happy to ship this to your home. Alternatively, Jeff, where else can they buy this from?
Well, since we're dealing with Canada and the United States at this point in time, and I believe there are some other countries as well, the best thing I would suggest is they Google the title to find out where they can get it. Like in the States, it's at the end of the trailer. It's got, hold on.
It's 17 hours.
Well,
that's our
interruption. She gets some. This is our Poochie.
Hi, Poochie Poo.
Yeah.
Hi,
well, you can get it. You can purchase it at Barnes and Noble in the States and Amazon. Up here, you got Chapters, Indigo. You've got Kohl's. There's a bunch more. Amazon up here in Canada. So there's a lot. But the best thing I suggest to people is go on to Google, and Walmart has it too.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, in some parts of Canada. Well, that was in the States. I saw it. I didn't look in Canada yet. But anyway, so you can, best thing to do is to Google it. That way you'll be able to pick up where you want to go to. And by the way, in some of these sites, it's also in ebook.
Ooh.
Like Kindle. So for the person who wants to read it on the run, having lots of fun, you can get it as an ebook. So some places. Yeah.
That's great. And you know what? This book is very pocket sized. So if
I
you
know.
like to read it on the run, but you don't like, or you don't have a Kindle, you can literally just fit this in your bag.
Sure.
Yeah.
And the beauty of it is too, I try to make sure that the story runs fairly smoothly. Every chapter ends with a bit of a cliffhanger. And
Yes, it does.
and it's so you want to kind of go because you want to see what's going on in the next chapter. And also too, it's not a a long big read. So it's one of those books you could read, during the course of a day and still have lots of time to do whatever else you want to do, and be so hyped up that you really would love to see these characters come to life. And maybe someday they will.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I read this in one day, maybe a few hours, and I was picking it up, reading, putting it down, doing something, and then I finished it on the car ride home. Yeah. But it's also one of those books that I imagine children would request that parents read during story time at night and things. So even if you get through it once, it's one of those where they'll probably ask you to read it again.
Well, funny you should ask that, because I don't know where it was or who it was. They told me that they had one of the copies of the book for their kids, and the kids, once it was read, they left it. They want it right on the nightstand beside their bed so they could go back and read it over again.
Oh, wow.
And here's a cool thing too. An Indigenous young boy had read it, and the person who had given it to him says, "What do you think of the book?" And he looked at her and said, "Just tell Jeff it's tubular."
Tubular.
That's the newest word for cool, I think.
Okay.
And there've been a lot of adults who have read it who like it as well. So, but the kids, it's all about the kids. It's all about gaining, them wanting to read. And I think if we do that, we get them to do that, maybe they'll read more. So that's why there's some other projects that are coming up that are going to tie into this through the publishing company that I'm dealing with, Book Trail Agency. We're going to do one of the things we're going to do was we're going to start up a Lucidobe club or call it a Dream Quest club for kids to, go there and I can tell about any new projects coming up or anything we're going to do. If we can get lucky enough to get things going, get, some merchandising going, maybe some all kinds of things. We want to create this into being just not a one-time book, but a book that'll have some staying power with the possibilities of anything that could happen might happen. And always be positive. Always be positive. There are everybody else around you, they tend to, if you're doing good, they go, "Oh, that's nice." But maybe they're just maybe a little jealous because they're not doing it. People don't want to see other people being successful because how negative they are about themselves.
Wow.
But if you become successful, you can always try to help out those who are not so successful to be a little bit more successful than they are already with their lives. So it's a winning circle for everybody if it works.
Right. Yeah. I think if you were to sign off right now, I think that you would say, and you would remind people to stay positive, to imagine, to dream, and to what else?
And to really look forward to reading this book, because it's an adventure that I think everybody should take at least once. And I'll tell you what, if you like it, hey, pass it, get the rest of your family to buy. And who knows, maybe you could become a member of the Lucidobe Club for Kids. It's going it's going to be really cool, and then I'm hoping that it'll work out, and that you never know who people might come and visit.
You never know. We here at Hidden Gems, we put forth 1,000 free book tours across the country. And so we have a list of books, and for our next book tour, we plan on either going to California or down to Florida.
Really?
And so, Yes, and we're going to be distributing free books and educational resources along the way. So for certain books, like this one,
Yes.
we're looking for sponsors to purchase however many they can, 100, 200, 300, 5, maybe 1,000 books.
That'd be cool.
Yes, so that the authors get paid, the children and adults, families get free books, and we are rewarded by seeing everyone's smiles and putting books in people's hands. So that's our goal. So if anyone watching this video would like to help us with that, please let us know.
And you know something, the best part of all with this, the book was a challenge to me to do something good for young people, to see the positive side of goodness, and not always
Right.
just see the downside on things. And the kids in the end will find what they've read may be a positive thing to motivate them to maybe want to write a kid's book or whatever. I'm planning to do that. Is I'm going to try to help kids in my own way get to the point of wanting to read more than they are right now. Put the video games down. Let's read a good, fun book.
That's right. That's what we're saying too. We should work together on that.
Oh, we
for
should.
the children all around the world.
Yes.
Yes.
The world is not as big as you may think it is, because as long as you've got the written word and you have things like the internet, the world is such a small place, and you can make people happy if you give them the right reason to be happy. And reading, I believe, is one of them.
I believe that too. Yes. Thank you, Jeff and Miss Carol. And what is your dog's name?
Prancer. Woof, woof.
And Prancer. We value your opinion, Prancer, as well.
She says, I give that 5 licks up.
I know, right? We love dogs. We do a lot of work with animals. Okay. I'm gonna let you go because, like I said, we probably could chat for all day. Okay. Have a good night. Thank you for your time. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Kayla. Have a good one, and we'll talk to you later.
Yes.
And be good, be safe, and say hi to that young husband of yours and that brilliant son of yours.
Yes, I will.
Ray and Truth.
Ray and
Imagine
Truth.
the dream for both of them.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye for now.